All right, good morning, guys. Welcome in. How is everybody doing? Good morning, good morning. It is a beautiful Monday morning. Actually, it's not so beautiful in New York right now. It is very gloomy. It is actually a horrific day in New York, but I hopefully it's a nice trading session, and it's hopefully nice where you guys are. Welcome in. Welcome, welcome. Good morning, good morning. The market is moving. The market is gapping up. Some big things happening. It is a beautiful day to be a trader. Yes, Khalil, it is a beautiful day to be a trader. All right, so let's dive into it. Today's session, obviously, some big things happening this morning. Jonathan Torres, welcome in, still here. Khalil, Venus, Ali, welcome in. Snowing. Where's it snowing? Is it snowing in some parts? Money Mike was just telling me it was snowing in Chicago. I think they're getting almost a foot of snow. Yeah, wow. A foot of snow in Chicago. I am glad to be not a Chicago resident today. It's a little bit too early for snow. Snow has to be December. Snow is for December. It is not for November, okay? That's just what it is. Ohio got snow. That's crazy. Right. Well, okay. So big things happening in the market, okay? Big things happening in the market. The market's bouncing. The market's rebounding. The market is moving higher. We have some news coming in this morning. We had some Democrats in the government switching over to side with Trump to shut the government, to open the government back up. The market is reacting to that in the pre-market. And we have some other reactions too. We have some good news across the market. Some positive news about, hey, there's no. If you read the news now, it's so funny to read the news because you read all these what these analysts are saying. Half the analysts are saying, oh, there's a bubble, there's an AI bubble. The other half keeps saying, there's no AI bubble, there's no AI bubble, right? So it's a battle between is it an AI bubble or not an AI bubble? And right now, it looks like in the pre-market, I guess as of right now, the not an AI bubble seems to be the leading idea. Okay, so that's what's happening here in the pre-market session. Some AI bubble news, and then also the government potentially reopening. Okay, so you could expect to see some market volatility today, and probably some news today about the government potentially reopening this week. It should be this week from what we're hearing and on the news side. Okay, obviously that's just speculative. Okay, but we'll talk about what's not speculative today, which is obviously the chart has reclaimed levels here. And the chart's reclaiming one of the most critical levels in the pre-market session. And the question this morning is this a substantial enough break to say we're going back at all-time highs? Okay. So right now we have a trend flip here on the market. It's just the start of a trend flip here and the break above a key technical level after rebounding off of support zone on our Friday session. Now, the after hours on Sunday was quite eventful because we actually were gapping up quite a bit here in the pre-market. And we are now going to discuss this being a potential hold spot or a fail, a whim wham, and move back down lower. So this is a really critical area here. And we're going to talk about this really critical area being a demand reclaim, but is it substantial enough on a pre-market gap up? Do we hold it with real price action today? That's the question we're going to dive into today's session, right? On the SPY chart, it's the same thing, right? We have potentially this scenario. This is what I drew out last night. You can make fun of me. You can call it what you want, right? But this is my little elementary drawing last night, and this is what I think will happen, right? It's going to be either scenario one, we retain the 674 upside, or we fail back lower and we see substantial downside. So we are watching this today to see what happens here on SPY. This is a very big moment for us on the downtrend. Are we potentially breaking the downtrend in this gap up? We are, but is it? Does it substantiate? Does real price action? Do we get real traction today above these highs after the pre-market gap up? And what we need to look for today is probably the pullback long to our demand zone and a retention at our demand zone, a hold, a 5-minute candle hold here at our demand zone, which is hey, we can go long here at the 674. So we'll talk about this in a minute, guys. Some big things happening on the SPY, on the ES, also on the Qs. Not quite as big, but for me, it's still there, right? We have a reclaim here of 613, which is our key demand zone. We move into 600, we move into 598, and that was our day yesterday, or our Friday session. So we'll talk about this on our pre-market as well. Okay, we'll go over Apple. Apple top watch. Apple into consolidation. Does Apple finally break the consolidation high? If we do, big upside going into our week ahead of us. Okay, so watching Apple as well. We'll go over Nvidia. We'll go over AMD. We'll go over Meta. We'll go over Amazon. Amazon is a hot one this morning. A nice hot one this morning here above the 246. So let's dive into it, guys. Without further ado, I want to talk about a few things first. Let's go into our earnings reports and then our econ data. So this week, starting off on the 10th of November, what I want to do is I want to make this, how can I make this bigger? This is like some boomer stuff happening right now. There's some boomer things happening here. Why is it not pulling? What's going on here? Oh, there we go. Okay, so that was ridiculous. That was ridiculous. Okay, on the earnings calendar, today's session Monday we have. It's always funny to see Monday always reports on Monday. Monday.com reporting on Monday, so that's a given. Besides that, nothing else today. The pre-market, core weave in the after hours today's session. Besides that, Tuesday we have SEC. This seems to be a popular one recently. BYND. I know you guys are probably full force, full port into BYND still, so be careful. BYND on Tuesday on the close of Tuesday session. Wednesday session we have some more smaller names, Cisco, and then Thursday session Disney DIS. We have Applied AMAT Materials, and then that seems to be what we have for us this week. Nothing crazy. Mostly small cap names. If you are a small cap trader, perhaps you are an IWM trader, a Russell trader, then this is going to be your a big week for you. But if you're not one of those IWM traders, this is not so important for us going into today's session. Okay, econ data for today's session. On the econ side, there is nothing of importance on Monday. The only thing that we do have, though, is we do have the potential for some news on the government shutdown, potential reopening, right? Which could happen today, could happen tomorrow, could happen Wednesday, but it's going to happen this week. That's what they're saying. It's going to happen this week. So be aware of that. It doesn't seem to be on, there's no data, right, per se, but we have headline risk, meaning we may get a Trump tweet. We may get a tweet from one of the maybe someone from Congress might say something. So just be aware of that going to today's session. It's going to be a volatile Monday, despite the fact that there's no data for today's session. Now, Tuesday, we have a Fed speaker. Wednesday, Fed speakers all over the place. They're like little rats on Wednesday. And Thursday session, we have CPI. And then Friday session, we have our PPI final demand. So it's going to be a very important session for us on Thursday and Friday. That seems to be what the main focus is for this week. Okay. Without further ado, let's jump into our charts now. Let's talk about the first ticker of today's session. Let's go over to SPY. Okay. When the government reopens, will they just release all? You know what, NorCal? That is a question I'm embarrassed to say I don't know the answer to. I don't know. I do not know what's happening here with the. I don't know. I think it's going to be. I think all the past data gets released, and then any future data just is back to normal. I would assume that's what happens here. So like any BLS data would get released all together, I would assume. But again, I shouldn't make assumptions. I don't know. I'm not sure. Yes, banks are closed tomorrow, but the market's open. Banks are closed tomorrow, but the market's open. Okay, so SPY chart. What's going on here? On SPY, here is, and someone said something, Nana said something, past data would be irrelevant. It's true. It actually would be irrelevant because market's already priced in everything, right? So it is true. We've already had private data. It won't be as important as new data. That is very true. Okay, so on the SPY chart, what happened on Friday session? Well, on Friday session, basically you saw a continuation move down lower. Okay, we saw the market basically gap down, and then we continued to gap down into demand. There was some holds at demand, right? Demand maintained for a little bit, and then we moved up higher into close, and we very quickly recaptured all of our downside move in just a few hours of price action. So if you see here, we had approximately, what is this, about a 1.2%, 1.5% downside move over the course of 16 hours, right? And then in the course of just a few hours into close, we completely, was it 3 hours and 30 minutes of price action, we completely ate up all that downside move, right? So going now into our session, we are entering this gap up with the idea that there are probably some shorts underwater right now, right? There are some shorts underwater. There is a V-shaped reversal coming in the market. And we've now gapped up to substantiate a hold in the market over 674. Now, here's the big level this morning. The big level this morning is just 674. You can see how important 674 is. You can see it is a big, very beautiful level, okay? This was the level we had to hold under for downside moves to come in. In fact, my main watch on Friday morning was looking for the 674 reject, which obviously never happened because we just failed. We just fell. Or just obviously dumped the market, right? So today's session here on the SPY chart, if you are bearish under 674, then in theory you should be bullish above 674, and that's what we are this morning. Is we're technically bullish here. I don't know if it's going to be a hold though, right? Here's what needs to happen for this to be a real bullish move is going to be if we can pull back to this level this morning and see us hold here. I'm looking for an upside move, right? So 674 is my demand spot this morning. And yes, we are seeing a break in trend, right? A potential break in trend here for the move back into all-time highs. But we need to see, does this gap up hold? Because we've seen time and time again, what happens when you have a gap up is that the gap ups tend to fill, right? So you do see it is very logical for us to pull back to the gap fill highs of the previous day session, which in this case would be the 674s, 673s. And I look for that today, right? I look for the pullback long to that spot. And if we hold here on a 5-minute confirmation, this should be everyone's top watch for an upside move back in the highs. So watching 674 today, if we are above this level, bullish. If we're below this level, back bearish. And we can look for downside back into 662. So everything we do today's session is based upon the 674s. Now, where is the resistance? The resistance comes in over here. You see the lows over here at 680, 680, 680, 680. And it's really not just 680. It's all the way back down to 679. So our resistance this morning is simply just 679 to 680, which you can see over here on the 15-minute chart. You can see all these lows. You have lows over here. You have lows over here. You have lows over here. It turned into rejection on Tuesday. This was a trade we took on Tuesday, right? This was rejection on Tuesday session. Beautiful upside move. Fail back lower on Tuesday session. That was a nice trade on Tuesday. And then Wednesday session, you saw it basically pop above, a wham, downside move. Today's session here on the SPY chart, if you're going to be long anywhere, you really want to be long back in demand. You want to be long over here at the 674s. You don't want to be long as we are approaching that 680 level because that's where we saw a lot of funny business. There's a lot of funny business here at 680s. You see a lot of reactions there, a lot of failures lower, right? So if you're looking for upside, it's there. Or if we just rip today, it's got to be a rip move above the 680, and that would be a substantial upside per trade. So for longs this week, not just for today's session, this is what I'd be watching for this week. Watching a 680 maintain, reclaim 685, or watching a 674 demand hold, which should be the top watch, and this would be the preferential trade here. This would be the preferred trade today's session, 674 for demand holds, okay? And I would even argue, even if we do this, right? Even if we do this, notice how wide my zone is here in SPY chart, right? My zone is very wide today, and there's a reason why. Because you can see 674, 674, but then you see over here, the gap fill level is technically 672.50. So my view today is don't be a short into here, right? This whole area is a no short zone. If we fail back below 674, I'm not going to say, guys, let's go flip short now and look for downside. Because even if I did that, I'm risking a 672.50 gap fill hold and then reclaim ripper, and I'm toast, right? So again, 674 to 672.5 is your demand zone this morning, and it's as simple as that. Let's move on, guys. ES chart. On the ES chart, the ES chart is doing the same thing. Obviously, levels are holding. We're moving stronger here. 6,800 reclaim is upon us, right? So we've seen a big gap up in the market, right? But here's the problem. The problem is this. The problem is that this is a pre-market gap up, and we don't trust pre-market gap ups. If I want to trust it, I want to see this pull back to 67.85, 6,800. I want to see a substantiated hold here, then look for upside in the market. That happens, then I trust the upside. As of right now, though, the ES chart, if you look at the SPY versus the ES, SPY looks very strong. SPY potentially breaking out a trend here, right? This looks really awesome. On the ES chart, if you view this from a bear perspective, a bear is just going to come in and say this. A bear is going to say, hey, this is a lower high, a lower high, a lower high, a lower high, and a lower high right here. So you have both the view for a bear side play this morning, and you have the view for a bull side play this morning. So what does that mean? That means we're at an inflection point. That means we're at a moment in the market where the market can either do this or the market can do this. And we just don't have enough data to determine that. And the best possible scenario is this is happening on a Monday. If this were happening on a Friday, it would be horrible because we wouldn't have the ability to trade it going into Saturday, Sunday. But we do have the ability to trade this. So if we see us substantiate a hold in one direction, either upside or downside, then we can trade it long and trade it for the week. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing this morning. It looks like a nice week ahead of us. I'm excited to trade it. Okay, so obviously all today's session is based upon either highs break here, 68.40 for upside, or it's going to be we fail back below 67.85 for a downside move. That's what I'm seeing today's session. But again, the big level that should be in everyone's watch should be the gap fill and 674 today here in SPY. Okay, Qs. On the QQQ 613, I'm gonna keep it very simple. I have so many levels here. It looks like Rav's charts, right? This looks a little bit like Rav's chart right now. I even myself, I'm having a hard time reading this. But 613 is my big pivot. You can see 613 is that hold spot where you see it. 613 is the big start of that downside move on Friday, the 10th of October. We have a level here and we have a level here. Today's session, I'm looking to see, can we hold 613? If we do, upside. 613 is my bull bear pivot, okay? And again, what do we do in gap ups? What is our, like, what do we do on a gap up in the market? Do we long the market back into an island over here? The answer is no. I don't do it. I don't trade gap and goes. When the market gaps up and the market just goes, I sit there twiddling my thumbs, looking like a fool. But I would rather look like a fool than lose money. Okay, gap and goes, I do not trade. If we gap up and we see us go above the highs, above 620 here in Qs, so be it. I let it run. I don't trade Qs today. Okay, but if we do pull back today to the gap fill level, I would look for the pullback long here at 613. Now, I'm not saying you can't trade the 620 gap and go. You could technically do this. You could do that, right? But you have to understand you're probably trading an orb. You're probably trading a continuation strategy above the highs, and you're in and you're out and you're using 5-minute candles, and that's just what it is. So again, if you are trading the 620 gap and go today, don't avoid it because Brett said he doesn't trade gap. If I don't trade something, it doesn't mean you can't trade it. That's what I'm trying to say here. So even though I won't be involved here above 620, it doesn't mean it's not a valid trade. Above 620 here on Qs is the gap and go to 623. You could trade that, or you can wait for the pullback long here at 613, which should be the gap fill level, and we can look for longs there. And this would be 613 to 61220. The gap fill level you can see is technically 61220. Okay, that's where I'm seeing that high produced. So that's our big demands in today's session is really right here. It's right in front of us. If you remove all your levels, all of these smaller levels, which appear to be not as important, this is the biggest and most important level is right in front of us. It's 613 to 612 on the QQQ. Okay, and wow, I mean this is a chart to watch, right? This is an absolute chart to watch here. A crazy V shape, and gap up in the market. Let's see what happens now going into our Monday session. Okay. All right, let's start diving into our equities. Let's dive into it. I want to get hydration before I jump into it. Okay, let's jump into our charts. Let's start with the first ticker today's session. Let's go over Nvidia. All right, let's start with Nvidia. Let's go back to our normal routine here. So Nvidia is at a pressure point right now, and this is a quite an interesting watch here. Okay, and the reason why is because I like Nvidia for longs, and the reason why I like it for longs is because we are showing strength here, and we have rebounded. We've rebounded off the 184s. So 184 holding. Now I actually longed this on Friday session. I longed off the 184. I'll show you where I longed it off on Friday session. I longed it right here. So I longed it right here and got some upside, and then basically just got chapped out and then called it quits on Nvidia. Nvidia was probably the worst trade of Friday session. It was just so slow. Even though the market was holding well, this was so slow and it didn't do anything, right? But in today's session here in Nvidia, it is doing something important. Now, I probably will avoid Nvidia today because Nvidia was choppy for me on Friday. But if I am trading this, if I were a Nvidia trader, what I would do here is I'd watch this. The first thing is I'd watch for is a pullback long at 190. The gap fill will be a top watch today's session. This would be my main watch going into my Monday morning. Is going to be, can we gap fill into Friday's highs? If we do, look for the pullback long here 190. Very clean, very key inflection point. The next thing I'd watch out for is the 195 reclaim, which we are technically trading into right now in the pre-market session. Watch the 195 break and retest, an upside trade here, back into 200 plus. So again, I'm watching only upside trades here. Even on Friday's session, I was only watching upside trades. Today's session, continuing to watch upside trades, either at the 190 pullback long or the 195 break and retest. Okay, AMD on the AMD chart. AMD also at an inflection point. You can see 243 is a very clear level, and this is one of my top watches this week, is to see can AMD clear above the highs. 243, 243, 243, 243 breakout, 243. If we can clear 243 today, I'm looking for a continuation move higher. Now, granted, this is a trade that I would take without filling the gap first. And maybe that's the wrong move. But for me, that's what I'm watching. Okay. If I see us clear 243, I'm looking for longs back into 260. Likewise, again, everything goes back to the gap fill today, right? On this Monday morning, the gap fill is the most important thing. So if you are watching for a gap fill today here in A and B, it's going to be that 236 bounce. So you could watch a 236 bounce and hold here. You can see a maintenance here at 236, or you can watch for the 243 breakout trade, the break and retest, and upside move higher. So watch both trades today, either number one or number two. That's a top watch today's session here on A and B's chart. Okay, let's move on. Let's go over some other tickers. Let's go over SMH. On the SMH chart, we were gapping up. We were retaining a level here. We're maintaining above a very key level. This is the level we spoke about on Thursday session when I did the pre-market. Remember we said how important this level was, this pivot here at 348. You can see 348 is a very big level, and we just V-shaped it, right? We just completely whim-whammed it. This is an absolute whim-wham. All the shorts trapped up under lows now. Can this reclaim? It did reclaim. It's above 348 at this point. If it breaks trend now, if it breaks above this little trend line here, which would look like this, it would look like a little bit of a trend flip here, then I'm looking for upside back in highs. So my main watch here in SMH is upside as long as we are above 348. And that's my pivot today on semis. So even though I don't trade SMH, I will use this as a bias when trading semiconductors. So either above the 358 for a breakout trade, back in highs, or looking for the pullback long here, 348 for a long side trade. But as of right now, I'm fully bullish with a capital B. Why? Because we are above the highs here. We're above the reclaim level. We just V-shaped. We absolutely V-shaped the reclaim level, right? So this is a very key thing to watch this morning is, are we above 348? If so, then bullish, okay? Amazon. On the Amazon chart, Amazon also bullish and probably one of the top watches this morning, okay? And you look at this chart here and you're probably like, Brett, why is this your top watch? What's going on here? Well, it's not because of this chart. I want you to just do something quickly. Remove all your indicators for a second here on Amazon, okay? Go to the daily time frame and take a second. Actually, the 4-hour time frame is even better. The 4-hour time frame is a bit better here because you can see how important this level is. Look how important this was on Friday, okay? What am I saying here? I want you to look at this level here. So we had that big crazy upside move on Friday. Remember Friday, the 31st of October? It was that big, crazy, big move on earnings here on Amazon, right? Remember that big earnings day was a Thursday into Friday? Big upside move. And so far, all we've done on Amazon is consolidate, right? Consolidation. We had AI news on Monday, but consolidation. And on the 4-hour time frame, all we've done is consolidate into a very key technical level of demand here. You can see how important Amazon 241 is. Look at these highs, 241, 239.50, and then look at the low of yesterday's session, the low of Friday's session. Look at this high. I want you to do something, right? Just look at the high of this demand zone here, right? You see the high right there? It was the most recent high. That low here was the low from Friday's session. And I'm trying to make this look nice here, but my thing keeps messing up. And now it's gonna make you look, oh, there we go. Okay, awesome. All right, so I thought I was gonna look foolish for a second. But anyway, you can see here, look at this exact wick high here, 239. You see this exact wick high here? This is the whole zone. You can see it, 242s, 239. So about a $3 zone here on the Amazon chart, okay? Now, when you go back to where we are on Friday's session, look at where we bounced on Friday's session. This was one of the best charts on Friday's session. Look at how beautiful this was. And you can even see here, where is the moment you could have went long in this chart? Well, there were so many moments you could have went long on this chart. That's why it's so fantastic, right? You can see you could have went long at the first wick. You could have went long under the whim wham, right? This was where I would be involved here, right? This was the whim wham under lows. Breakdown to lows, reclaim, upside move. Absolutely beautiful trade here after holding 239. Now, today's session, where's the opportunity? Well, the opportunity today's session is back at the 242s. So if we see us today's session pull back to our demand zone here at 242s, I'm looking for longs there. I know it's far away, but that would be where I'm looking for longs. Likewise, because this larger time frame, beautiful bullish structure, I would also look for longs above 251. So I'm looking for longs in this chart, only looking for longs in this chart. If we can clear back above 251, I think this can go back in all-time highs. And I have a strong argument here that Amazon does go back to all-time highs. But the problem is there's not many levels to trade off of, so you have to be very patient here. But I'm watching to see, can we hold either the gap fill level 245, the daily level here 242, or the break and hold above 251, which is the most recent swing high. So again, there's a few things to watch here. It's not just so clean. It's not just not so. It's a very clean bullish chart, but when it comes to actually finding your entry points, that's where things become frothy, right? Things become a little bit interesting here when you find a level, right? And so the levels are all over the place. Where you have a level here above the highs, 251 for reclaims. If we do, that's where upside goes back into 258. Or you can watch the gap fill level, which is right here at 245. But you also still have to watch at 242. So it's a level here, it's a level there, and it's a level here. But I'm watching all three today's session. They're all valid, right? They're all valid. And the question is, Brett, how could you give 1,000 or 1,100 people three different opportunities? How could you say watch all three of these, right? It doesn't make any sense. Well, you have to watch all three. That's just what it is. You have to watch all three. And the only thing, how you tell what's the right level is you look for 5-minute confirmation. If you see us confirm off these levels, for example, remember I said 239. I said 239 was the most important level. Well, we'll look at the reactions there at 239 and the intraday reactions here. You see how initially there was some imbalance move higher, right? There was some wicks here, some 5-minute candle wicks here. That was your long entry. It did it again, right? It failed back below it. No reason to long it right now. Then it reclaims, big upside move. So the point they're trying to say is, yes, we are watching 3 different levels to long Amazon today. I'm watching 3, but they're all valid, and time will tell what is the one we're going to strike on, right? We know these are our points of interest, but as we get price action on this Monday session, the Tuesday session, the Wednesday session, that's going to determine, hey, when do we actually take that trade and when do we actually execute it? Okay, so Amazon top watch, you guys know why, right? Apple. Apple, I'll spend 30 seconds here right for this, ready? Apple was my lifeline last week. If you guys remember this is why I said I want to trade Nvidia. I'll always be honest with you guys on these pre-markets. I made probably close to 20 grand on Apple last week. On Nvidia, I went 0 for 4. 0 for 4 on Nvidia last week. It's one break-even trade, so basically 0 for 3. There was not a single green trade I had in Nvidia. That's why I'm not trading Nvidia this week. But Apple was my lifeline. And Apple, I still will watch this because, again, it was what paid my bills last week. Apple above the 271.50s, I'm still watching for longs. But again, it has to trade above the 271.5s. If we can clear these highs here, I'm looking for longs back in the 273.50. So this is my main watch today. Not my main watch today, but my main watch on Apple is, can we clear above these highs? If we do, look for upside and to move higher back into 273 plus, watching at today's session here on Apple. Not the cleanest of charts here, but it is clean intraday price action. So let's see what it was last week rather. Let's see if this week is also clean. Okay, so 271.5, very key inflection point on this chart. Okay, let's move on. Tesla. So Tesla is the only chart that doesn't seem to be so bullish this morning. Tesla is one of the only beta names that I look at this chart and I see that it's just doing nothing. Look at this chart. I mean, this chart is actually just rejecting under a supply zone. You see here how this chart is just simply under the lows at Thursday session, right? It's trading really at the lows at Thursday session. I don't like this for longs as long as we were under this level, right? 441 to 440 and change here is my supply zone. And you see here lows, 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 lows. In fact, if the market does flip today, this could be a short watch today's session, right? So I would actually watch this for shorts today if we fail back below 441. That's my key level, 441 for shorts. If we clear 441, then obviously upside the market. But as of right now, this looks more sided. This looks more geared towards a short bias. Now, I don't know if a short bias is going to work today. I don't know if it will. But if I was looking for shorts today's session, my top watch would be here at 441. Okay. Let's move on, guys. Let's move on. Let's go over a few other names. Meta. So on the Meta chart, Meta's gapping up. Meta's V-shaping off 600. I mean, it's this is why I love technicals. Look at this level here. I mean, that's just incredible. It's literally a perfect V-shape off 600. At this point, you now can. I mean, I just wouldn't do anything with it, to be honest. It has to reclaim 646. My major level here is 646. You can see 646, 646. If we can clear above that shelf, I'll look for upside here. But that's the only play I have here on Meta. If you long the 660s, or 600 rather, 601, 600 here on Meta, you should be a profit taker today, and look for it to break above 646. If it does, re-enter. But as of right now, I would be a profit taker on this chart. I do think eventually it goes back higher. I do think it does. This chart's been overextended in demand for a long time. So if you want to hold it, you can hold some, but just make sure you're holding only runner size, okay? SoFi. I'm a happy camper in SoFi. I finally got my fill. I finally got my fill on Friday. Did you guys see that fill on Friday? I got filled at 26.1. I got filled at an average cost of 26.1. So right here, and this morning I am up already 12% on shares overnight. What an incredible buy on Friday session, and I'm a very happy camper. So SoFi running for me, but I'm not looking for trims here. My goal on SoFi is to develop an average around this green box. My green box is my buy zone. My red box is my sell zone. Okay, if we start to push into highs here above 32.50s, I'll look for sells into these highs. But I do think it goes higher, and I'll hold this for a longer period of time here in SoFi. That's my goal here. I'm not going to give you guys short-term views here on SoFi. Okay, Starbucks also really green. Did you guys enter Starbucks? And Starbucks is maintaining itself really well. We mentioned this on a few sessions in a row here in Starbucks, but Starbucks is holding that 76 level beautifully. And I, again, similar to SoFi, I'm not taking trims here to 90 plus. So looking for this to build higher. I do think it does. And that's my equity position here in Starbucks too. So looking to build Starbucks, looking to build SoFi. Those are my two big ones. Also, Target's still a big one for me. Unfortunately, I'm still red here in Target. So not the same happy sentiment here in Target, but I am still holding this one for an upside move. Okay. Lulu, I actually sold Lulu. I sold Lulu. I don't have a position in Lulu anymore. I sold Lulu a while ago. But if I did hold it, I think I'd be probably break even right now. So I don't think anything's changed here, but Lulu is at a buy zone. So if you do believe in Lulu, this is your buy zone. This should be where if you believe in Lulu, this is your where. Your where is right here. It's this green box right there. Okay. PLTR, Palantir. I mean, oh man, the 172 strikes again. The 172 strikes again. That was what happened on our Friday session. We broke it for a little bit here on Friday, but then unfortunately for the bears, it's reclaimed. And or fortunately, if you are a bull, right? Fortunately, if you are a bull, 172 is reclaimed. Unfortunately for the bears, it's reclaimed. So whatever way you want to put it, fortunately or unfortunately, it's above 172. Now, where do we go to at this point? Probably 188, right? 188 is your supply zone. Don't be a muppet and long in 188. Guys, that's it for me today. Look, let's have a good week. It's Monday. It's November the 10th. It's a good week. Let's just let's keep pushing, right? Let's get some data today. Let's not be the first one in a trade, and take it easy and do the right thing. And I'll see you guys all for live trading. Have a happy and safe trading session. Bye, guys.